Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Brightworks and another match of Beyond All Reason, a different kind of match, as today we're going to be watching the pros versus the JOES in an ever-stacked contest to see who can battle it out and if the pros can hold their own on this very beautiful map that goes by the name of Ancient Vault. So, spawning today as the red team leader, an Armada commander with a single metal extractor and plenty of wind turbines to their name, who goes by the name of Rise Heaven. Rise Heaven going to be showing us what he's got as the Armada team leader here, spawning in the, I guess it's the backline position. Can you really afford any backline, though, in this sort of a match, where already every single scrap of metal is going to be extremely necessary? No reclaim available in the back over here. It's basically the only place that metal is going to be available is in these craters over in the middle of the map. All the way on the other side of the map, a commander that's also playing as Armada that goes by the name of Vanaja 2, aka Jamakis. We all know him, we all love him, we all fear him. Jamakis here, going to be playing under the nickname of Vanaja 2. A little bit of a joke going between those two, I suppose. Going to be showing us what he's got as the Armada blue team leader. 4.9 metal extractor, very valuable right here, but of course there are others on the sides. You can see 4.9 on that side, 4.9 over here. Essentially, the way that this map works is that most of the metal, 90% of the metal, is concentrated in the fortress over here on the left-hand side, whereas vastly less metal is concentrated out here on the right-hand side. So the pros get way more metal to their hands. Each one of them gets way more resources. However, the JOES get to control quite a bit more of the map and, of course, can go into some of those ecos. So what it's really going to come down to is whether the pros can kill the JOES before the JOES, the red team, maybe I'll go with red and blue from now on, before the red team can scale up to an energy-based economy, because they have all the space in the world in order to do that, but they need time in order to do that, right? So you're going to have to put units on the field. Just adjusting my volume. Game was a little loud in my ears, felt like I was yelling. Hopefully not the end of the world. Jat right here, gosh, I need new colors here. The Poo-Poo Brown Commander moving forward right now. Heading directly into the base of Reed Sweet, who's in a whole lot of trouble all of a sudden. Fighters and anti-air takes down the transport, meaning this commander is doomed. But we might be able to get a trade in. Gonna try and trade out against the green commander right here. Metal extractors go down, constructors on the run. This is a dirty move. A dirty, dirty move for you to go against when you have superior commander numbers, right? Because of course, obviously, if everybody just goes for a comm bomb, what it means is essentially the red team wins immediately. Leela and Leela transporting their commander forward in order to capture the metal available right here. One of those commanders will be partially reclaimed. The blue commander says, let me res, and I think that's a wise decision. Resurrecting that commander and then using it on the front lines might not be a bad idea. Putting that energy into that commander early on can be an investment that comes back to pay dividends later on in the match. A tick over here, sniping a couple of res bots. That's 2 dead res bots, 220 metal or so. Down the drain right there for the pink commander that controlled them. Incisor now out to blast down those ticks, and it'll have a perfectly wonderful time doing so. One of them actually escapes with its life. You know what? We rushed out the air lab, and it leaves his base completely defenseless. Oh no. With this base completely unguarded by units or anything else, Pawn now rushes to the aggression. Going to start blowing apart Jut's base. Or Jat's base, pardon me. Combining sorry and pardon me into the same thing. Making new phrases here at the Brightworks. Can the Pawn do it? Well, with some splendid micro, maybe we can see it. Pawn a little bit APM stalled right now. Ooh, but his brother comes in to steal the deal. And just like that, the base of the Brown Commander is now left in ruin here. Gonna need some constructors, gonna need something in order to rebuild in the backline right now, because this is a nightmare. Going for an LLT, calling for a res right here, hoping that his team can help him out. So already what we can see over here is that the red team commands about 100 or so energy, metal per second, about 3,500-ish energy per second. All that a little bit dependent on res and reclaim and all that sort of stuff, but of course, average here. The blue team quite a bit further behind on the economy. However, they are rushing immediately to T2. So Jamaica is going to be going for a T2 lab right off the get-go here. We've already got about halfway done with the construction, 40% of the way done with the construction. Another 600 or so metal in the T1 bot lab. This lab should come up with an ultimate swiftness. Very nicely done right here. Now, once these T2 metal extractors come up and online, things are going to look quite a lot better. T2 coming online right here for the Maroon Commander as well, and hopefully we're sharing metal around. That is the one advantage that the red team has, is that everyone can contribute to the economies, of course. Going for a little bit of communism, very OP in this certain circumstance, and there we go. Already a T2 lab is actually already up and running for Praetor. That means this is a little bit of a misplay, actually, from the Maroon Commander Jimmy Two Shoes. Going for a T2 lab right now when we've already got a T2 lab up and running, but before our mexes have been upgraded. It's a little bit of a misplay on the side of the Maroon Commander, who's also dumping tons of metal into advanced solar panels as well as leaking a bunch of energy. Little inefficiencies here and there, but they can definitely start to add up. LLT is built here for base defense. We're also going to build a construction turret. Very nice. Trying to rebuild from the ashes here. Aggression is already high and mounting. On the fronts, though. Purple units being spammed out right now by Cloud, the southern commander for the blue team here. Trying to get some of these pawns out into the front line and engaged against some of the enemy forces. And doing a pretty good job about it. We have all these pawns in a nice formation here. Bound to clash with the pink forces. Just a little bit. That trade definitely going in the favor of the pink commander. Oh, if we sweep across right now, we've got a fabulous opportunity. Not going to take it. If this army had moved across the face over here, it would have effectively taken 21 v20s versus lining up and fighting each other in a big 20 versus 20. Probably the most efficient way to go this. Love that Sargeras is pushing very far forward right here. Aggressively expanding in order to capture these metal extractors, trying to claim as much metal as possible and put it onto the economy, put it onto the economic scale of the red team here. Very, very nicely done. Big clash over here, and the purple commander takes it. Excellent micro right there from the pawns. Means that the purple commander will walk away with massive, massive amounts of metal left over on their side of the field here, with tons of pawns to spare to defend it all. Deflecting that attack quite nicely here, and that was essentially all the units right here from Foz. Yeah, Foz going for quite a lot of build power right now. Building, oh my goodness, building quite a lot of E-converters right next to wind turbines. My goodness, that's an explosive economy right there. E-converters obviously highly explosive. When they explode, chain reacting into other E-converters and taking down every windmill in this stack. Ooh, it gives me goosebumps just thinking about that. Spiderbots coming across the field. Interesting choice for a map this wide open here. I would have expected hounds, sprinters, maybe welders, but a lot of those faster units. Gonna be hounds this time around, though. It's the, looks like they've been handed over here, I imagine, from somebody with a T2 lab. I actually don't see the T2 Armada lab anywhere. Oh, there it is, right in front of my eyes. Wonderful. Sprinters, there we go. I think sprinters are a great idea. Sprinters, one of the few units that can make up that distance quickly enough to matter. Rocket Spider's obviously very valuable, though, for besieging these positions up on the hillsides. Watch me do this in a little bit of trouble here. Soy Boy 64, trying to punish these front lines here. We do have a pop-up lightning turret. Oh, 0% HP on that pop-up lightning turret. Oh no, Soy Boy. Forced to back off. The lightning turret means business. Only 0% HP remains for that lightning turret, though, so of course, any speck of damage is going to be able to put that under. LLT is going to be difficult to engage into right here for the massive amount of force that the purple commander commands. Mesa is now streaming out of the lab very casually. We also have a T2 metal extractor coming up and online. Wonderful stuff. Now that T2 is up and online, we can start to see the economies shifting gears here. Cyan Commander falls. Rocket Spider is able to bring down, watch me do this, main commander. Rocketeer, the lone Rocketeer right here, trying to blast away these Rocket Spiders, but I think they're going to be more than happy to start firing away at everything up on that hillside. Lightning turret in range right now, but if we fire 2 or 3 salvos of rockets at it, we should be able to burst it down. Nicely done. And just like that, this area is completely exposed to these multi-legged menaces on the front line. Down goes the other Dragon's Claw. And just like that, the lightning turrets have fall, and the spiders are ready to move in. A little bit of aggression right here. Ooh, nice. A little bit of a run by. Yeah. Shuriken in the air to try and paralyze as much of this as possible, and I do like it. As little as it is worth it. Sprinters right here to try and efficiently clean this up as well, and doing a great job of it. Blasting down these pawns with extreme efficiency. Very nicely done. Yeah. Just 4 of those sprinters, coupled with the Shuriken here, able to completely shut that push down. Rocket Spiders having a wonderful time, though, up on this hillside. Losing this base hurts. The blue team needs every single base available. Any weak point could be capitalized on by tons and tons of players, so losing any of them is a tremendous deficit here. At the very least, this side, the cloud side on the southern side, is looking quite nice. It is T1 though, and those rocket spiders pack a tremendous punch. Especially against the slower, despite being sturdier units, the mace. Rocket spiders don't really care. They can kite from long range, they can whittle you down over time, and eventually you're going to be left with nothing but slag on your front line. Northern side, high aggression here as well. Eventually that Dragon's Claw did fall over here. We still got 2 more over in the middle of the map trying to hold the line right here, but the Rocketeer Aggravator battles are fierce. Going for a frontline T2 lab is Aeon Spy, the Seafoam Green Commander for the blue team. Clocking in at 36 true skill. Open skill, pardon me. Always getting those two mixed up. Trying to transport whatever we can. Just dropped a T2 constructor on the fronts here. Rebuilding the base right now for Watch Me Do This. Has a couple of cons to rebuild some of the construction turrets. Rebuilding the metal extractors, all that is very well and good. But this is still an open lane right now. Jamak is still going for economy. Mostly focused on upgrading those mexes to T2. Every mex that we can upgrade to T2 is going to be well worth it. We've got wind turbines coming up all over the place here for wind energy, which is 22, which is fabulously efficient. Really, really ridiculously efficient for the wind speed on this map. Usually this map would be played against, for instance, raptors or scavengers, that sort of thing, whereas in this case, the players are the raptors. The swarm of noobs, I guess you could call it. We've got a couple of shuriken and even a bomber queued up right here for the Brown Commander, doing their very, very best in order to try and contribute here, but ultimately not able to do everything in the world. Tick Swarm running in. Sometimes the cheapest units can have the biggest effects. That is a 6.6 metal extractor. Very valuable, and the blue team or the red team doesn't want to lose it, but they will as the metal extractor goes down to the humblest of all units, immediately reclaimed right here by Rise Heaven, who I think, yeah, inadvertently reclaimed that without meaning to. Massive reclaim field right here, accidentally ate up all that metal instantaneously with the res bots that were out on the field. Tick Swarm still moving around over here on the right-hand side. Bomber actually getting a couple of those, that's rare. Bombers versus Ticks, not a favorable matchup for the Bombers. Now, I've watched a couple of these games. Jamakis tends to host these lobbies every once in a while, and they are quite fun. I definitely recommend joining in case you wanted to. You're thinking about it and maybe on the edge. Allow me to be the voice that pushes you over the edge. Very, very fun stuff, but I have watched a lot of these, and if it's not properly tuned, sometimes the pros get away with bloody murder. I've certainly seen bloody murder in these games where they just run away with the victory overwhelmingly. Things can get wild very quickly. T2 is being handed out left, right, and center right here. We've got a spam lab up and running, pumping out a bunch of ticks as well, while in the meantime we're going for more and more economy. So Jamak is famous for his exuberant economies, maybe I should say. Very powerful stuff. Does have a Cortex constructor here, so milking every efficiency out of every opportunity that we can, and gonna go directly into an advanced fusion reactor. A little bit low on build power here for an advanced fusion reactor, but I suppose the sooner you get it up, the sooner that economy starts to come back and help you out. We're also continuously increasing the build power here. Starting the APHIS with 700 metal in the bank. But there's plenty of things we could deconstruct. The T1 lab, the T2 lab. We could even sacrifice the commander, although I will point out, of course, that the blue team, they have quite a few less commanders, yeah. 5 versus 11 means the red team can afford to be, not wasteful per se, but a little bit less conservative, shall we say, with their commander positioning, with their commander aggression. They can be more than happy just sending their commanders walking forward and trying to blast down bases, like exactly Pegasus 232 is trying to do right here. D-gun? D-gun? Do we have a scout of what's up on this base? We do not. No scout over here means Pegasus won't be able to D-gun down those lightning turrets, despite being in range. Will not be able to hit those turrets from here. Big Hound Ball available right now, though they're not in their Gauss mode, which does mean they're having a really hard time against these ticks. Lightning Boy, the Welder, trying its best to keep the ticks back from the hounds as well. It'll be blasted apart, though. Partially by ticks, partially by friendly fire, and partially by the enemy hounds, which are now slowly making their way out to the battlefield here. APHIS, 50% of the way complete. APHIS, about 40% of the way complete right here for Rise Heaven. We've got another Aphis as well for Praetor, so it's good to see that the red team is ecoing here, realizing that their entire economy is predicated on energy conversion alone. It means you have to make those investments as quickly as you can. Bombers actually finding value against a massive tick ball like this. I feel like on this sort of a situation, it definitely makes a lot of sense to go for a Juno very quickly. Hound's now marching forward. Retweet in a lot of trouble here. That's a resurrected retweet. And down he goes once more. The cold comfort of death, apparently what retweet craves. It's what plants need, electrolytes. Anybody get that reference? Hounds and Welders, name a better, more iconic duo. Maybe I'd say Hound, or maybe I'd say Welders and Sharpshooters, but certainly a much more costly duo, that one. Welders now stepping forward, Fat Boy getting involved here as well. Layla and Leela moving her green commander into position right now. Trying to find a good opportunity to D-gun down some of these units, but they turned right instead of left and decided to go for the base of Retweet over here. For what it's worth, excellently done. These Welders are now tearing apart this base. The T1 facilities have fallen. There's still Welders in the back as well to accompany all this. Rattlesnake trying its best to clean all this up, but there's really only so much it can do in close range combat. And just like that, the base has been well overwhelmed right here of our green hero, Aswell. That's what his name translates to, for those of you that aren't aware. It's pretty foul. One thing strange about this map is, of course, that this can happen. Infantry climbing up the stair steps here, able to jump on top of maybe other forces before they really realize that that's an option or an opportunity. Vehicles with no such luxury, but the infantry more than capable of stepping up that little stairway. T2 being rebuilt up here on the high ground right here for Watch Me Do This. Enemies at the gate right now. Pitbull trying to clean up ticks. Always a bit of a tricky situation, that. Mass tick coming across the map now. Cloud has gone into full-blown tick spam. We've got 3 different labs producing ticks and the T2 lab pumping out hounds as well, making sure to up that tech level while we keep the spam nice and high. Wouldn't mind seeing maybe constructors moving around building big swaths of beamer turrets just to cut off sections of the map from any of this T1 spam. Not a very efficient way of dealing with that. Not as efficient as, for instance, Juno's. There it is. Beautiful Juno connection right there. Wow. That was satisfying. How much metal and ticks do we have right here? Wow, nearly 1.5 thousand metal and ticks. Juno'd to death right here on the high ground right here. Of course, the Juno doesn't obliterate the corpse of the tick like essentially every other option does. And you get a pretty close to full refund right there, costing 17 metal to produce and refunding 10 of that metal. Quite nice. Advanced fusions are up and running. Anti-nukes are coming up as well. E-conversion. Starting up. Going for a nuclear launch right here is Jimmy Two Shoes. Technically speaking, a couple of these commanders do have resource bonuses as well. Bryko, for instance, has a 12% resource bonus. Foz also with a 7% resource bonus. May seem like nothing, and in the grand scheme of things, that sort of bonus can be made up for with efficiencies. But suffice it to say, if you technically wanted to play the best that you could, all economy should go to Bryko. And it's an easy way to increase your economy production by 12%. It's a little change, hardly worth it. But just technically speaking, just if you're playing this game like it was a spreadsheet, if you were doing the math and crunching the numbers, technically speaking, I think that would be the best way to play this. Rattlesnake now firing away on the front lines here for Aeon Spy, who is also sending some sharpshooters forward. Very nicely done. Sharpshooters more than happy to blast away light Jaguars or medium tanks in a single shot. Rattlesnake's also having a wonderful time though, so everyone and their mother getting involved in this fight over here against the yellow 12% boosted leader and Soyboy64, his accomplice in crime. Sharpshooters so overwhelmingly good at dealing with all that stuff. We need a beamer. We do have a T1 constructor over here. 2 beamer turrets and you've completely locked this down. Welders work just as well. Rattlesnake firing away at whatever it can. Trying to kill anything that he can. There's a shield bubble up and running though, so no longer will it be able to fire. And I think with the introduction of that shield bubble, it's time to disband the Rattlesnake and instead go for something a little bit better. For instance, you could go for an EMP launcher. An EMP missile launcher from this range could probably hit the backline. Not quite, but pretty close. It could definitely hit a couple of the different bases around here. Could shut down Aeon Spy, could shut down Watch Me Do This, could probably shut down Reed Sweet as well. A lot of different spaces where that could be very, very efficient. T2 Mex is doing wonderfully to churn out metal for the production. And now with this many hounds on the front line, Cloud has got to be feeling pretty comfortable pushing into a bunch of T1 trash. The tick spam, of course, going to be quite useful as well because, well, nothing scouts better and gives its life more to the cause than the humble tick. And it's one of the reasons why we see them spammed out so often. They're very cheap, tremendous vision range, high DPS to metal cost. As a ratio of damage to metal cost, I think the tick takes the cake by far. And Vanajatu, aka Jamakis, cries out, I think we ought to start winning soon. I think I probably agree. I think winning soon is a great idea. We do have a couple of Marauder pumped out here now from the blue economy that's been churning out units left, right, and center. The red economy has continued to scale as well. We're actually going to go for some pinpointers here. Not a bad inclusion. Pinpointers obviously very useful for the team as a whole. Setting those pinpointers up, making every unit a little bit more accurate when firing into the fog of war. It's one of those long-term investments that pays off over time after a while of units firing and connecting more of their shots than usual. Marauder trying to clean up the spiders climbing up the side of the plateau here. Now, lightning takes much better for the job, though. Wow. Obliterated those spiders, leaving their corpses as dust on the top of that hillside. Really nicely done right there for the Cyan Commander. Watch Me Do This. Big old run by headed towards Chrono right now. D-Gun's connecting in a big way, though. Yeah, those pawns weren't microed, so they just ran right by the commander. They could have gotten the kill right there. Not sure how valuable it would have been, though. They turned around thinking maybe better of it. Not going to happen at this point. Weber's sent over here to try and reclaim everything. One of the nice things about the Webers, of course, is you can fight command them. And then you just fight command them into whatever reclaim field you want. Makes them very good cleanup crew. Intentionally or not, some wonderful positioning over here from the Pink Commander. Cutting off loads of these forces. The Hound's ready to push forward, though. Cloud definitely feeling like it's time to pull the trigger. You have to be so careful, though. You step forward a moment too soon, and suddenly you've had all your T2 units lost to a bunch of pawn or grunt or tick spam. And pawn or grunt or tick spam is exactly what we see right now coming out of Longe 27. Going for some Aphises here as well. We do have those Juno missiles now firing away into the distance. Love to see those Juno missiles. Lovely stuff. Nicely done to remember to keep connecting those. Putting those Juno missiles down so that no more spam can get through. We've also got the walls over here, which is quite nice. Walls being utilized to block off the enemy and make sure they only come through one path. Affording your team much more control over the map. Definitely helping out a lot here. Razorback's up and running and now starting to stream their way across the battlefield. Pitbull's blocked by the anti-air turrets right there is a little sad because they are probably ideal against the Razorback. Did you see that rattlesnake? Go back 5 seconds and check out that rattlesnake. Let me know in the comment section if I'm crazy or not. But was that thing not aiming at the Razorback and then suddenly whipped its head around and Huh. I might be going insane. Brightworks the schizo, apparently. Welders now trying to fend off these Razorbacks, but yeah, there's just too many. Despite all of it, there's just too many, and the Razorbacks are more than happy to blast through spam, more than happy to blast through basically anything at all. The pinnacle of assault units. And now they're coming out in droves. More build power as the economy continues to scale. 4 Aphis economy to start pumping out Razorbacks in mass. Looks like we could use just a hair more E conversion, but all said and done, still wonderful stuff. More Aphis, more E converters coming up on the side over here. Jamaica's well known for his powerful economies. Heavy bombers parked over here on the side, waiting for their opportunity to move forward and go for a bombing run. It's already been queued up, but they're just on a wait command right now. Very cheeky from the green commander, looking to set up multiple bombing runs at the same moment. Yep, I see exactly what this is. So these bombers are going to land over here and park, and then they're going to queue up 2 different bombing runs simultaneously to try and take out 2 different opponents. That way AR can only respond to one of them. What a fabulous play right there. Beautifully, beautifully done. Yeah, you can see now they're queued. Some of the aphises in the back line. Mass sharpshooter being spammed out right here by the red commander. Wouldn't even mind seeing maybe another T2 lab and some more build power built up now so that the sharpshooters can be spammed out thoroughly here. Spending that metal, obviously the hardest part. Sharpshooters, very easy to use. All you have to do is fight command them forward and make sure that you keep some welders around so that they don't get overwhelmed by T1 spam. And if you follow those 2 rules, virtually 100% of the time, you're going to end up with a very efficient trade. This is dangerous, though. Watch me do this as 2 Razorbacks moving on the northern side right here, and they're blasting apart these grunts with the Razorback's level of efficiency. Very absurdly nicely done. Yeah, that was thousands and thousands of metal worth of T1 trash immediately obliterated right there by just 2 Razorback. If we select these 2, actually, how many kills do they have? 155 between the 2 of them. Impressive, to say the very least. Dual bombing runs coming out now. Fighters up in the air to protect all of them. Loads of anti-air turrets. Oh, we're flying right over the anti-air turrets. Ah, a little bit of a bummer that, but this one has gone completely unprotected. Most of the bombers from the green commander shot down over there on the northern side. However, this run will be a success. Boom goes the base of the tan commander and chain reacts into the maroon commander as well. That's Jimmy Two Shoes losing it all in just a moment as those heavy bombers manage to connect in a big way, sending ripples through the economy right here of the red team, collapsing a large portion of their metal production. Aphis now scaling up to speed here. We've got a Armada Aphis coming up and running. Nuke is launched. Nuke is not caught by any of the anti-nukes over here. Didn't see where it was going or where it was launched, where it was targeted. Oh, all right. Right in the middle of the map. Not shot down by anti-nuke, but also not connecting with anything too serious, too special. At the end of the day, I think that nuke probably would have been better targeted up here on the northern side. Obviously, scouting information is slim at this point in the game, so you have to work with what you're aware of. And that's easier said than done. Massive run by now. Tons of pawns sent forward right now. Trying to take down some of this build power over here that the blue commander is setting up. Beamer turrets queued up quite nicely. Able to dismantle pawns in a very, very efficient manner. And a T2 lab comes up and running as well. How do you leverage your economy, leverage your multiple players worth of economy at this sort of a scale of a game? I think what you do is you start handing economy off to your backliners so they can produce more units, and you start asking for handouts. You start asking for sharpshooters, you start asking for units essentially, and you just hand units over. I feel like at this scale of game, that really is the only efficient way of taking advantage of the fact that you have so many different commanders all working at the same time, in tandem. Shield generator coming up and online to try and protect these advanced fusion reactors from the LRPC fire. Couple of basilisks now firing away at whatever they can. There they go, firing once more. Ooh, that Aphis is taking those hits directly. 27% as the shield generator comes online. Critical timing of that shield generator will deflect the blow rather than absorbing it and pushing it back. But at the very least, the brown commander, not Jet, pardon me, Pegasus 232 is going to feel wonderful about having deflected the majority of those projectiles here. Oh, that hurts. Build power going down once again over there. Very, very nice. Triple LRPC. Oh, just barely enough to get through those shields. With build power so low, this is a terrible, terrible situation right now. LRPC's puncturing the shields well. One of them gets deflected, but the other 2 or 3 can manage to break through. Oh, could this be the kill shot? Boom! Goes the Aphis of Pegasus 232. Just like that. Punctured by the long-range plasma cannons, managing to break down the shielding and obliterate that base right there. Very nicely done by Reed Sweet, keeping awareness over the fact that that's available. Very easy to lose track of that. Nicely done. Tick spam facilities up and running for Jamakis. Ready, ripping, and roaring in order to get those ticks out onto the field and spamming away. Ooh, nice nuke right there. Connects with a lot of different stuff. Ragnarok was started up right there by Aeon Spy, but it was completely shut down by that nuclear missile blowing those airplanes out of the sky. I think it's about high time that the blue team invests in mobile anti-nuke. So much ground to cover all over the place. There is an open patch over here, by the way. Anything inside of the white area is open for nuking. So that means any of this stuff should be nukeable over here. If we can squeeze a nuke in there, we might be able to do some damage. Bodies litter the floor across all different faces of this map. LRPCs, oh my goodness. Firing directly into Chrono. Chrono face-tanking one of those and brought down to 48% HP. And going for some T1 static defense. What good it'll do you in a T3 late game, I have no clue. But there certainly seems to be some sort of plan right here from Claws. Vanguard slowly but surely dismantling this front line over here. Gauntlet slowly but surely dismantling that Vanguard. Hey, you know what? I mean, 6% HP, 3% HP. Well, I'll be. Gauntlet versus Vanguard. I guess the Gauntlet takes the win. Wouldn't expect that to happen 9 times out of 10, but in this particular situation, with this very specific circumstance, just so happens to be the case. Twin Guard's not going to be sufficient in any manner to shut down this Marauder push. Agitators, similarly, not going to be effective against the fastest, highest maneuverability T3 unit in the game. Which of course means easily outmaneuvers static defenses. Marauder pushing through right now. Reclaim. Pulling them apart. Sharpshooters also blasting apart the Marauder whenever they can. A little bit of a hill right there causing issues. Marauder on the southern side, managing to bring down this entire base. Faw's in a lot of trouble. Commander now being blasted apart by the Marauder here. Oh! Boom goes the Commander. Very nicely done. Just like that, the southern side has crumbled. The northern side, protected by the demons, washing those T1 trash in holy flame. Very, very nice. The demon spam is quite potent. Sharpshooters unable to bring them all down. And losing most of them over here. I think those sharpshooters probably should have been fight commanded. But at this point, Jamakis can't really be too unhappy. We've got E-converters left, right, and center. Aphis is all over the place. The economy, nearly 900-ish, about 900 metal per second coming into the blue economy, and about every drop of it being spent per second here. We've got Butler spam coming up here. Wouldn't be surprised to see a Ragnarok coming up on the high ground here. We've got LRPC Central being set up for now. Now ready to fire away into the bases. I do believe, yeah, he's going to be able to target the Aphis in the backline right here for the Red Commander. If the Marauder don't get there first. And I think they will. Nuke up in the air. No anti-nuke to catch it. Marauder finding the red base over on the, well, middle of the map. 3% per shot means takes a while. Sharpshooters eventually clearing out that Marauder. On the back foot for sure is the red team. Suddenly pushed back by the overwhelming T1, T3 spam. And the blue team doesn't. Boy, was I hoping for a comeback story, hoping that the red team, the JOES, would be able to do it. But I suppose that's the reason why they call them the pros. With overwhelming aggression, with the T3 placements, and with wonderful LRPC usage. We don't see those winning games all too often, but in this one, it definitely felt like they did. That beautiful bombing control as well from Leela and Leela. What a fabulous display of skill right here. Wonderfully played by everybody. GG to all's involved. And I sure hope to see you in the very next video of Beyond All Reason. Peace out, everybody.